started. We might have a couple more people join in. Couple housekeeping things just right off the top. We are recording the session, so it's not a fancy recording, but it's a recording for you all to have and refer back to for some cool tidbits and just kind of refer back to as an attendee. So we'll send that out afterwards, but that's my disclaimer right off the bat. Thank you for coming this morning. It's a really hot one out there.
Oh.
Today we are lucky to be joined by Jill Amato, actually. She is the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Community Banking Officer at MountainOne.
Yeah.
MountainOne is also our lead sponsor for the WILL program, which is our Women in Local Leadership program. We've been doing this for a few years now, and it's just our opportunity to spotlight different women leaders in the region. And we are also joined today by Kaitlyn Litchfield, who we know very well. She was the former SSYP Executive Director and owns a couple of a business and is involved in a nonprofit here and has worked with Jill on the SSYP in the past. So we thought it'd be a perfect fit for the two of them to kind of have a conversation and for us to all get to know them a little bit better. So I'm going to go through a few things. I want to, again, thank our sponsors. MountainOne's our lead sponsor, but we also have 10 additional sponsors. So Barrett Planning Group, Enbridge, Friendship Home, George Washington Toma TV and Appliance, Hollywood Agency, Manic Community Health, Mass General Brigham, Partnering for Performance, PR First, and Steinberg HR. So if you are a sponsor, could you just do me a favor and raise your hand? Thank you. So I just want to thank you all for your support of this program. It's been a fun project for us all here at the Chamber, and it's grown with support over the years, so there's definitely a want and need for it, so we're excited about that. So I think that's all I'm going to do for opening remarks today. I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to start by actually reading bios today. I'm going to read Jill's bio to you, and then I'm going to also read Kaitlyn's, and then I'm going to turn the floor over to Kaitlyn. All right. So
take as much time as you need.
And we will do some Q&A at the end. For those of you who haven't been to these before, they're relatively informal and just an opportunity for us to all have a conversation and get to know different women leaders in the region. So Jill Amato joined MountainOne in 2018 as Senior Vice President, Marketing and Community Banking Officer, bringing with her over 15 years of marketing expertise within the financial services industry. Jill is responsible for the oversight of all marketing programs and initiatives at MountainOne. Most notably, Jill led the strategy and development of the award-winning MountainOne Brand, which launched in 2019, Mo, right?
Yeah.
And earned 6 awards from the Service Industry Advertising Awards and 3 awards from the New England Financial Marketing Association in 2020. Jill also serves on MountainOne's senior leadership team, ALCO Committee, CRA Committee, Technology Committee, and co-chairs the Emerging Leaders Program and Communications Committee. Jill is a graduate of the University of Massachusetts Amherst and holds a bachelor's degree in economics and international finance. In her free time, she serves on the board of directors of Habitat for Humanity for Greater Plymouth and the treasurer of the Kingston Parent Teacher Association. She also serves on our board at the South Shore Chamber of Commerce, and she resides on the South Shore with her husband and 3 children in Kingston.
Don't read mine.
Just say my name.
I gave up the PTO. It's too much.
Okay. Good. That makes me
You're
feel a little
good.
better.
That's all
I couldn't do it.
Caitlin is here today.
That's my bio. No,
Not
Kaitlyn is Kaitlyn, I'm going to read your bio.
One sentence.
Okay. She's the VP of Raising Harts, a new nonprofit in the region, which I'm sure she'll talk a little bit about today, and owner of Kaitlyn Litchfield Photography, a very successful photography business here on the South Shore, which was established in 2014. This nonprofit is dedicated to supporting families with autistic and neurodiverse children here on the South Shore. She's a graduate of Notre Dame Academy and has a criminal justice and political science degree from Bridgewater State. No stranger to the Chamber, which we've already said. Kaitlyn is the former executive director of the YPs. She loves to travel, golf, and ski, and lives in Marshfield with her husband and boys. Anyway.
At least I have hobbies. That's true.
Yes.
I'm going to
your hobbies.
turn the floor over to Kaitlyn.
Maybe if you had some free time, you could have some hobbies.
When you work in financial services, bios sound like that.
Yeah, right.
But it's not nearly as interesting or complex.
And when you're
We all gotta
creative,
know.
like a photographer, your bio includes things like loves to travel and take photos and recently took up golf. Yeah. Because I work 365 days a year, but all on one Saturday in October. You know.
Oh my God.
But
Well, can you talk for a minute before we get
Yes.
into me? Because, I want everybody to know what you do with Raising Hearts.
So
because
Raising
it's so
Hearts is
important.
cool. Yeah, so it's a new nonprofit, was just established last year, and it provides support for families that have autistic children and neurodiverse children here on the South Shore through mentorship, inclusive events, and workshops. I'm an autistic mom. My oldest boy, Camden, he's 9, he is autistic. And I just came to Raising Hearts. I went to one of their events, and I was like, I'm in this to win this. And because I don't do anything a little bit, I'm now vice president of this organization. So it's really cool, actually. It's one of the cool things about Raising Hearts is we created a mentorship program, which is like Match.com for autistic parents. So if you find a parent on the South Shore or wherever that has a child like you or has a need like you can like swipe right on them and like connect with them, and it's so cool. So we're working with a program called Cronus, and we're developing an entire app because one of the things about having a neurodiverse child is it's really lonely because you don't get to participate in like the activities like other parents get to. Like, we don't go to the playground typically, or we don't go to birthday parties, or my son isn't into sports, he's into World War II. So that's a hard one for other 9-year-olds to connect on.
Yeah.
So I could find another parent on the South Shore that has a child that likes World War II, and now I have a connection and my son has a connection.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of a cool thing, and we just opened up our first, our location in Hanover. And it's a really cool place for parents to come and gain information and workshops, and their kids can be in the sensory gym we built downstairs, so parents can get information in their kids, because the hardest thing, one of the other hard things is if you have an autistic child, is finding childcare that you trust for them. So the kids can come with you, they can be supervised in the gym, and you can gain valuable information.
Good job.
That's it. That's it. That's what
Awesome.
Raising Hearts does.
But it's an amazing organization, and it does very, very important work. And
Thank you.
coming from a family where I had a brother who had special needs, I
Yeah,
know
talk
how
about
important
that.
that is, and how difficult it can be just to find your people.
Yeah.
So.
And that's one of our staged questions here, so we're just gonna go into that. So, yeah, come on.
Oh,
I just
okay.
did that whole spiel in one
Hold on.
breath.
Okay, I'm ready.
Talk about what you're passionate about. Talk about why you choose the boards you choose. How does that relate? How does it relate to your personal passions? How does MountainOne fit into that? How do you pick and choose? Because I'm sure a lot of people, because I would swipe you in a minute for Raising Hearts. Like, how do you choose? Like when everybody wants you on their board, or when everybody wants you to like, can you do this? Can you do this? How do you say yes and how do you say no? More importantly.
Saying no is the hardest.
So hard.
From all aspects. So there's, the importance of being involved personally and joining boards and showing up in your community and the people who matter to you. But it's another thing to, in my role at MountainOne, be part of the committee that chooses where to donate and where to organize volunteerism, outreaches, and financial education, all of those really important things that big organizations do. From the company aspect, it's important to set a strategy and to decide, where you want to align your giving. And a lot of times it comes from just the hearts of the people that work there. Mm-hmm. But it's really important to create the strategy. Otherwise, you're just you just don't know how to rein it in.
Yeah.
You want to give to everybody. Saying no is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Giving money out is not an easy job because you just want to give to everybody.
Right, and it's like, and how do you make it cohesive? Like we give to, organizations that all make sense even together.
Yeah,
You don't wanna
and it
be
sends a
all
message
over the
about
place.
who you are and who you want to be in your community.
And about branding for your company, because we talked
Yeah.
about Mo real quick. By the way, my son sleeps with the Mo, the
Yeah,
MountainOne,
the little
the
plushie.
MountainOne plushie every night. He's like, oh, I love Mo. And I'm like, I came from a bank, buddy. Like,
No, don't take it away from
I
me.
don't.
Yeah.
Where's Mo? I'm actually going to send you pictures. We're going to take Mo on vacation with us and send you pictures from all over the world with Mo, because that's funny. And
yeah, I have so much to say about Mo. But before we get to that, I think, from a personal standpoint of how to decide which boards to join. Bob, who's the CEO and president of MountainOne, he is my boss, and he's just a great
He's
person.
amazing.
A lot of you know Bob personally, professionally. You know, when I stepped into the role a few years ago, and I said, you know, where would it be most strategic for me to sit on a board? How can I make impact to MountainOne? He said, stop it. Just do something that resonates with you, and do something that you're going to care about, because that's what's going to get you to show up and to care and to put your work and heart into it. And that's what I did. So
Well, it's interesting to have the freedom to do that, because not all companies allow that,
Right.
where they might say, well,
Right.
sorry, that doesn't really like align with
yeah,
our
and
mission.
sometimes with good reason, you know,
Right.
of course. But I was lucky, and I feel very fortunate that my passions align really closely with MountainOne's passions in terms of where we give to veterans, to people with special needs, to people with hunger issues, anything related to financial education. And you know, when I was younger, I did a service project that I'm just very proud of, because when you're young and you do that one big thing, you always remember it. You just learn so many life lessons from it. And one of the projects I did was with Habitat for Humanity.
I did those too.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So for me, I flew down to Mexico, and we rebuilt a village that had a storm. And when I say village, I mean shacks with cloth over as roofs a lot of times. But I got up and tarred a roof by myself of a church.
It's amazing.
And it was just such a memorable, impactful.
Put that in your bio. That should be in your bio.
Yeah, well, it's very irrelevant to what I
One
do
more
in my job
thing.
now. But I was so happy to be able to approach Habitat and say, I like you guys.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember what that did for me and
Mhm.
inspired me to continue to do. And Habitat's an amazing organization in terms of who they help and how they uplift their communities and the impact they have. I am on the board of Habitat for Humanity of the Greater Plymouth area, but
Okay.
there's of course one for South Shore, the South Shore area as well. They're all important. They're all doing very important things, and I love the idea of being able to show up with my family and volunteer on a weekend and teach them those great lessons.
Yeah.
And then of course the chamber, I love being involved in the chamber because we do very important things for local businesses, for the community, and we connect with each other and lift each other up.
It's funny you say that.
Support each other charitably.
And it's such a, I mean, the South Shore Chamber is huge, obviously, it's, but also the words you just said are very small. Community, connection, you know, so it's like kind of cool to have that big reach on this, like this. There's
Absolutely.
20 people in this room, this is really cool, and,
Yeah.
but.
Well, we're out in the hallway, and everybody who walks by Kaitlyn gives her a huge hug. And you know, that's how they say. How does everybody know you? How do you know everybody? And a lot of it's the
a lot of chamber, yeah.
Of course it is, because you're so connected to so many. What's wonderful, so many different industries and different types of businesses all coming together and realizing shared passions and those connections mean something as you put your heart and soul into your nonprofit. You have all these connections, and so that builds over time.
And with that, like, obviously your bio was like so long and full and robust, so talk about how to say no. How do you say no? I mean, again, 'cause, I mean, we skipped the first one. Jill's a mom, you know, we skipped that first question, but backstory, Jill and I had lunch like a month ago, and Meg was there. I was coming in hot, 2 wheels, you know, 5 days dirty hair, like just putting my jacket on as I come in, and Jill's like, yeah, I feel you, I get you. Like, it just was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, I've lived a life and it's like noon. And so how do you like keep that balance with PTO? I know you dropped PTO.
I did. I
One thing.
dropped it like a bad habit. I couldn't do it. I feel awful about it, but
You
it
know,
was
what's
also
that?
the best feeling in the world once I let go.
So it's like that guilt of saying yes to everything and then having to drop things, and, you know, I sent Jill a funny TikTok the other day, and it was a comedian saying, you know, don't you want it all? Don't you want to have children and the career and the success and the travel? And she goes, I don't. I don't want it all. I want to do one thing really well. And I think that that's sometimes frowned upon with women, like, oh, you're a superwoman. I don't want to be a superwoman. I just want to do my job and be a mom. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make that work?
I don't.
Yeah, I thought that was the answer. I put myself in a corner on that question.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I think life presents opportunities to you on an ongoing basis, and you have to decide in the heat of the moment whether to do it or not. But it's never that easy of a decision, right?
Yeah.
It builds up, you know, all these things that I want to do. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to have kids. I had the kids. It changed everything. Because before that, I had a career.
Right.
Or I was building a
Exactly
career.
that, yeah.
I haven't mastered the how to say no, which is why at work, my team knows that sometimes I'm completely disorganized and need them to brief and help me figure out what to do next. And sometimes I need to do that for them. And I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
But I'm not always doing it great. And that's what we talked about is you can never be 100% at everything at one time. And the thing that I've learned over time isn't necessarily to say no, it's to choose my moments and to say today I'm going to show up for work and I'm going to work the heck out of work and it's going to be awesome. Probably not going to be at dinner with my kids tonight.
Right.
And I might miss a soccer practice ride and I'm going to have to figure out a carpool situation. And I can't do both. I couldn't make it to the chamber partnership lunch yesterday.
I was gonna say, and you have to say no to work too.
I was
sometimes.
really bummed about that because I enjoy doing these things and they're important to show up for. But sometimes work trumps it. Sometimes your family trumps work or your health or something else that is important to you. I think this idea of having it all doesn't mean that you're doing it all well all the time. It just means that you are spreading yourself really thin and choosing every day when you wake up where to be and knowing that you're going to be falling short somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think that that's okay though, and we all have to get comfortable with that and stop feeling bad about it.
Yeah. I have this conversation with my husband a lot because obviously through COVID, work came into our homes. And he would be on a Zoom and, my son was remotely schooled for all the first grade. So I was also working and a mother and balancing all the things. And, my husband would say, keep them quiet. I go, you're in everyone's home and everyone is in our home. Like everyone's got kids in the background. Everyone's dog is barking because they got a dog during COVID. And like, everyone knows. Right, everyone did it. Everyone got a dog. We got 2 cats. So. But, it's like, I have learned through COVID that like, I'm not alone in that. I'm every mother, every father, every person, whether you're a mom or not, or dad or not, has a lot on their plate, and like give yourself some grace. I'm not good at that. I beat myself up. I was supposed to email Jill like 4 weeks ago. I emailed her last night because I knew I was going to see her today. I was like up at midnight emailing her and like give myself some grace. I did a lot of things in the last 4 weeks besides email you, but it's like you have to. I think COVID really did bring that to a light for a lot of people because we can't keep our kids quiet on Zoom. Work came into our house. So work needs to be respectful of that backwards, and we do the best we can, but it's such a funny balance I find between my husband and I, you know. He's like, hey, I'm just gonna pop out to the gym. I'm like, oh my God, I'd love to pop out to the gym. So it's like, it's hard to, I just think there's a different pressure on women, and it's just, if we don't give ourselves grace, then who will?
Well, and I think, I kind of hate talking about COVID for a lot of reasons, but I
do
like
too,
talking about it for just a couple.
Yeah.
And one is all the silver linings that came out of it that we wouldn't have ever come across in any other way as a society. And one is, you're right, it completely shined a light on something that we were all hiding for a very long time, which is that we have personal lives.
Absolutely.
And that they matter, and that it's okay that they matter. It's okay if a child's head pops into a Zoom.
Those are the things that went viral. I'm like, can a kid pop into my Zoom and I don't have to work anymore? Like, and then it'll go viral. And
and it's no longer, hey, stay out of the shot, I'm on a call.
It's
I
like,
know
sit
you
on
just
my
got
lap.
home from school and you want to show me all your hard work, but I'm on a call. Yeah, I am on a call, but I'm on a call with my team. And
whose
they're
kids
also
just got home.
humans, and they also have, some of them have children or cats that come into the screen. Or, and it's okay to be a human. And I think sometimes it helps us work better together when we admit that we're human and that we're real people and we're not machines or robots.
My older brother is a diplomat, so he has like this really high profile job, and he was on a Zoom, and he has a cat, and the cat brought him a prize during the Zoom. He put a little mouse on his lap in the Zoom, and he's like, okay, like he's on like a Zoom with like world leaders. So he just told them. He's like, okay, and this person.
So this happened. Let's move on.
If it can happen to this level of person, it's certainly happening, on the PTO Zoom. So it just humanized everybody instead of being like, I go to work and then I go home and it's separate. It is not separate. I mean, I talk about it here at the chamber. I mean, you woke my kid up once to hold him, so remember that? Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm just gonna hold the baby. Like, you gotta wake him up, Peter, don't wake. But like, my kids would come in here, and the chamber allowed me to work, so you know, everyone would entertain Cam, who couldn't go to daycare because you know he's struggled, and they would just give him Rice Krispie treats, and I could work a little bit, and so it's like, exactly, and so it's like realizing that it's not just separate.
Yeah.
And you can, you know, I gotta bring my kids to work because I gotta work, I gotta do this, and tonight I have a photo shoot, and my kids are coming. Because my husband has an appointment in Charlestown, and the photo shoot happens to be for my babysitter, so she's not available to watch them. So
you're
they're coming with me.
You're making it work.
I'm gonna make it work, and you know what? I have kids.
Yeah.
It's
part of who you are.
It is who I am, and
a lot of times it allows you to make much deeper connections with people when
Totally
they get
agree.
to see the real you.
exactly. And my kids know.
For better, for worse.
And my kids will be bribed for.
Yeah.
We will get McFlurries, and you can get new Lego, and
Yeah.
but I tell them like, I'm gonna bribe you today, okay? And they're like, yes. And they're like really super behaved over it. But it's you know
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard, and I think
Right.
one of the hard things for those of us who have kids, I know it's not everybody.
It's not.
Today I woke up at 5 a.m. for my two children who have a bus that comes at 6:30, right?
That's inhumane.
One of them didn't make it to school because she has anxiety, essentially.
Yeah,
You
she's
know,
ill.
and she's my almost teenager. She's 12. She's in a new school. She has to get on that bus at 6:30, and she couldn't figure out to where. And when she finally figured out to where, after tears and us putting everything she owns into a giveaway bag because we had our moment.
Yes.
I drive her to school, we get there, and she just couldn't. Had to bring her home. This
Oh
is
my
real
God.
life, guys. And then this is I'm coming here today. I
Yeah,
didn't shower.
Yeah.
This is just my life. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
It's fine.
You know?
Lovely.
Yes, you do. Right. Dry shampoo, deodorant, it's fine.
And then my 10-year-old who's like, oh, it's on the ball, my little soccer star. It's picture day today.
Oh, fun. May I have that done?
So-
Can you later on show us the picture?
Yeah,
It's gonna be hard.
it'll be the next LinkedIn post.
Yes.
For the chamber. It's gonna be the follow-up to this Will event. She changed her outfit 3 times. I'm like, who are you today? Is this because I have a thing I need to go to?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's what it
probably.
feels like.
Uh-huh.
And they all knew I had the thing to go to. So deep down,
Yeah.
I kind of think subconsciously, not ill will, but it was because whenever I have a thing, they pull me back hard. And it's just part
Yeah.
of being a human outside of your job. Every day that I show up, I've had a whole day before I've gotten
You've
there.
lived a life. I always say, like, I have lived a life, and it's 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to drink this coffee from 6 o'clock this morning. That's why I love Yeti.
That's why
I want to be
love
sponsored by
Yeti.
Yeti. Because I'm like, this
Yeah.
is a dream.
And not to totally call her out, but Kerry on my team, she has done the same, and I see you. I get that.
Yeah.
You know. And when you say I need to work from home today, I get it. It's so.
Well, that's
hard.
another COVID silver lining
It's
because
emotional.
people understand that now. Like, I think people are more productive at home. In a
Yeah,
sense,
it
like,
can be.
Yeah, me?
When it gives
no.
you,
But some people, yes.
when it gives you that moment to say, I didn't have to do this because I get to be at home.
Yes.
I didn't have to shower. I didn't
Yeah.
have to put on
Get dressed.
the real pants or whatever it is. I didn't have to make the drive. I needed to get right to this 9 a.m. meeting on Zoom. I
Mhm.
just turn on my computer, so I get to do the whole 5 a.m. to 8
8
a.m.
a.m.
with my kids.
Mm-hmm. With no stress.
But then sometimes you gotta show up too.
I know.
You gotta flip it, and you
Mhm.
gotta make it even, and you gotta make it work. You have to show up to work. You have to be in the office. You have to be visible. You have to see your team.
So your girls are 10 and 13, or 10 and 12?
So I have 3.
Right.
I have
That's
a
one.
13. I have a
Whatever. both
almost
kids.
14-year-old, 12-year-old, and 10-year-old.
Yeah. So that's a major life transition. What's another? I know because not everyone here is a mom or a dad.
Yeah.
So major life transition, having children.
Having children and what
You
that.
know, the obvious one. What's another one that kind of has been like a big transition or a big like aha or a big moment in your
I mean,
life?
everything's so emotional. Losing my
Yeah.
mom last year
Yeah.
was really, really hard. And, you know, this is like truth time.
Yeah.
But you have to still go to work and still go to your nonprofits and still show up to the things that matter to you. Where it matters to me, I want to be there. But that was hard
Mhm.
because you have to shift and you don't know. You can never prepare for how something like that like, impacts you when you're in a meeting. Like, and somebody says something and it kind of
Right.
triggers an
you.
emotion or you want to call your mom when you got out of after this I'd call my mom, and I'm not going to do that. So, you know, going through life events as a working professional, I think is a little bit different for women than it is for men, because we just wear it differently. Generally speaking, of course, I'm not trying to you know.
No, I think it's true.
But I think we just wear it differently, we handle it differently, we cope differently, and we still show up. And we still do what we need to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important and impressive, and I'm proud of everybody who's done it for all the different curveballs life has thrown them.
Yeah.
It's important to show up. It's important to, you know, take and give, and to do the same for the people who work for you, and to make sure they can take and give. And to just be a human to your boss, and to be a good boss to your people, and to give them
It's like
space where they have
humanizing.
things.
Again,
Yeah.
it's that COVID thing, humanized people.
Absolutely.
Or humanized business, obviously.
When I had kids, the transition was exciting, but it was also, oh, I finally really know why I'm doing this. And I think for some people, when they have children or have a major life event, it pulls them away from work and makes them think, why am I here?
Interesting, yeah.
For me, it catapulted me into work. And I was like, I know why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a working woman. I'm going to provide for my family. Not to call my husband out, but I'm the breadwinner, and I can love that. And I'm
So
proud of
clap
it.
that
So
up. That's great.
you know, it feels good. And when I had kids, instead of pulling back, personal choice, I dove in real hard. And I'm really proud that I did that. And I think it's important for my kids to see that I work.
I talk to my kids
And
about that
why.
a lot. And my photography business was born out of having my son Cam and suffering from severe postpartum depression, and not knowing what I was going to do, and being, I say love trigger, right?
Yeah.
So not knowing what I was going to do, and I thought, okay, so I can't leave this baby because I have such anxiety around leaving him, because nobody knows how to change a diaper but me. Right, that's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody knows how to zip up these pajamas.
Mhm.
I'm the only one that can do it. So I had to be around. So what can I do? What am I good at that feels valuable in my time? And so my photography business was born. And it is so, and always is and always will be so purposeful for me.
Yeah.
And I always say I've been in business 10 years since Cam was born. So 2014, 2024. And it's like, it's the same thing. And they always say, Mom, why do you work so much? I'm like, because you guys like expensive toys. And and I try to be honest with them. Like we talked about financial education. I try to be honest with them about money, and they'll say to me, Mom, do you have $20? And I go, yes. They're like, well, buy me this. I go, I have $20, but it's not for that. I can afford that. Like, you can't afford it? No, I can. I can't afford that. But I'm not buying you that today. And my kids both have bank accounts, and they both have they know financial, because I was never taught that.
Right.
And it's like such a generational thing. Like, we try to be open and talk about financial responsibility and money and all those things, but they know, like, mommy works, daddy works, so that we can do things, and so that we can, and I also tell them, like, I like to work, and I am not a good full-time mother. I said it.
Yeah.
I am a better part-time mother. Oh my God. Because I'm not, I tried it for a hot minute, and I failed. I was like, I am not good at this. I like to talk to people, I really like humans. I like to talk to people, I like to connect, I love seeing people, and I'm just not a good full-time mom.
Same.
And I, like,
And that's okay.
and that's okay.
That's
It took me
alright.
a long time to get there, to be like, hey, this is okay, like, I can do something not good, or I can do something really good part-time.
Yeah,
Like,
it's more than it's great. It's
Yeah.
great that you get to do, it's not having it all, but you got to pick all the things that mean something to you, and you're
Exactly.
figuring out how to make them all happen.
Mhm,
And that's really great.
are your kids financially responsible?
No. No, they're,
Mom,
they're trying.
it's just Robux. Can you just buy me this thing on? I'm like, you're buying fake stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they want to buy things on these video games, right, Heather? Like,
Mhm.
so you just bought like a hat for your video game guy. Do you get the hat? Does the hat come in the mail? So I just spent $20. So now your guy has different eyelashes or something. I'm like, Mommy can go get eyelashes for $20. Like, and it's understanding like that's you just paid for something that you get nothing out of that.
Mhm.
And they figured out because my son, Cam, is what's called twice exceptional, so he's autistic and gifted. Figured out how to get into my PayPal. And, yeah. So what are these charges? $29.99, $20. I was like, Cam, I took it out of his account. And I showed him. I said, nope, you owe me $78 because now your guy has boots. Yeah.
I mean, they're nice.
They're great. They're cool. They make him run faster in this video game. He has to do that to get to the next level or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't I pay for Game Pass? Don't I pay for these things? But it's that financial responsibility thing that I'm really trying to teach them.
And it's tough. My 13-year-old, we just discovered, I didn't tell my husband yet, but I just discovered that she's been what I thought was buying storage, because it comes through as apple.com.
Oh yeah, Apple, like
$2.99, apple.com.
Oh no,
$6.99.
I know what she's doing.
Yeah,
she's buying games. She's buying like lives on games.
She's buying one game, lots of things within it. It's the same,
It's
right?
the same thing.
And so she said, oh, well, I thought that was just being charged to my account. And I said, what account?
What account?
You're 13! What is happening?
That's awesome.
And then the real guilty hug after, like, the admittance of, I knew it wasn't right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So financial education's tough. It's something we spend a lot of time on at MountainOne.
Yeah.
And I think we focus a lot on communities we think that are in need, right?
Yeah.
Or schools, which is really, really important. But financial education is so complicated, I think, because the financial world is constantly changing.
And it's different for everyone.
We learned coins and counting their math, they still count. They don't even know what change is. They have a little,
Yeah.
everything's digital.
I
They
mean, I
go
don't
to
have cash.
a
I never
store or
cash.
the mall or wherever, or a game with a friend's family.
Mm-hmm.
It's cashless.
Yes.
They can't do anything with cash.
Mm-hmm. The kids say, Mom, you just double click this, right? And then the money comes out of that. I was like, no, that's like money.
It's real money.
They don't understand.
They don't understand that.
Like, use the red card. I was like, no, like, they don't see it.
Yeah,
they don't
they
see
don't
$20 laid out. They see, well, this is plastic, I just used that. And so trying to teach them, again, he counts his money. And side note, I'm like so proud of him. He raised $500 towards my race. I'm running a half marathon. Kids set up a candy stand. This is this entrepreneur. Sets up a candy stand at the bottom of my driveway. Raised $500 selling candy at the bottom of my driveway. And then he says to me, he's like, Mom, I tapped this neighborhood. Can we head across the street?
That's amazing.
And then he asked me to match it. I go, I am not a bank. I'm not, this isn't a gift giving program. I'm not matching your
I love that he
donation.
knows that, though.
Because
he's in the nonprofit world.
Because he watches, but again, that financial responsibility, and I made him write it out like, okay, well, the candy cost you $60 and you made 100, so really your profit's 40. He's like, yeah, but will you donate that candy? I was like, you're so cute, sure. Irresponsibility, but
That's very sweet.
I was never taught financial responsibility. I had no idea. Kids don't ask about that. Kids aren't taught about that. So I give this speech at local high schools, like Credit for Life program, and it's awesome. I love it. So I go around and I talk, and you go to college and you get like your dorm key and a credit card application. You're like, ooh, what is this? And I remember the very first thing I ever charged in my life. It was milk at Star Market in Fenway, because I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna get some milk. Go ahead and buy some. And then I had to pay for that later. You know that? You know how credit works? With interest?
Yeah.
But I was so, how do you not know that? Because, well, we're older now, but kids don't know. Kids don't know that there's money and transactions and fees, and, that money has to come and get paid from somewhere.
Well, it's not part of the educational curriculums in
It's not.
schools, which still amazes me, but, so as parents and as a financial institution, so both sides, on both sides of that, it's a really important role you play.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. No one's asking you to, no one's telling you to, but it's right and you need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so at MountainOne, we take that really seriously, and it means something to us to give that to our communities. We show up at Credit for Life, we do the fairs.
I love that. It's such a good program.
We hold in for adults financial literacy and for prepping for a mortgage. We want our customers and our communities to be, to win, to come out okay on the other side of all this. To get a mortgage, we don't want them to be house broke and default on it. We want to play a role in their lives. We take pride in that through and through, and it's not just our customers, it's the community. We want to be a responsible corporate citizen doing good things.
And MountainOne is definitely different in that sense. you know, as I've been brought into the fold, it's truly a community place and
Yeah.
such community involvement. I mean, it's interesting to see MountainOne, like in the Situate Parade, next to the nonprofits, and
Yeah.
doing like Rockland Day next to the nonprofits and the people in the community.
Yeah.
And you're such, I believe, leaders in that way. Who is somebody that you lean on as a leader? Who do you-
Internally?
Yeah, or personally, or like who's somebody that you look to? Because you told us that story about, you told me that story about how you had
The
asked for,
mentors,
yeah,
yeah.
like mentor, who,
Yeah.
you know, when you're such a leader and people look to you, who do you look to?
Well, I think the reason I can be a leader today is because of all the great leaders I've had in my life, right?
Mhm.
So one of the really interesting stories I have about leadership and just career growth is back when I was at an old job,
Not to be mentioned.
not to be mentioned, but wonderful people. There was this person that I worked with, much more senior than I was, but I just felt he was a mentor. He was teaching me so much. And one day I said to him, I feel stuck. And I was probably, an assistant vice president in marketing.
Yeah.
And there's this huge ladder to climb, and I was really excited to climb it. And I had been making progress, but I felt stuck. We were just in a weird spot as an organization. I just asked for his help, and I said, what do you think about my personal brand? Back when people talked about that. You really
Can't remember.
right? Your personal brand, and then you weren't allowed to say that anymore. All the
Yeah, that was taboo.
But I still think it matters.
I think it
knowing
matters.
knowing the self-awareness around what your personal brand is.
Mhm.
And the self-awareness is important because if you're not self-aware, you can't improve.
Yeah, and like
You
we're
can't change.
confident wearing white after Labor Day. I don't care. Right, Kim?
You're-
right.
That
right.
is my brand. I'm with you. That's
It
my
was,
thought
brand.
about it though.
it
I don't
was
care.
a deliberate decision, and it was well done.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's my personal brand of sticking
So
by it.
one of the things that this person did for me, we talked about it. He said, "Are you open to feedback?"
Hmm.
And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "No. Are you open to all the feedback?"
Yeah.
And that's hard. And I said, "Yeah, I am," because I was really, really driven
Yeah.
at that point. I think I still am.
Hmm.
So he said, I'm going to go around this organization, and it was a big organization, and he said, I'm going to ask people of all different levels, all different groups, your peers, your people who are senior, people who are below you, people who work way over here that you never really see. I'm going to ask a handful of people for some input on you. So he'd go up to somebody and he'd say, don't overthink it. Jill, my former name, Jill Howland, what do you think of her? How's she doing? And he'd jot down some notes and walk away, and then the next day he'd do it to someone else.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks later, he and I sat down. Oh. And,
Eek.
and he said, are you sure? I said, I am. I am. And he went through a lot of the feedback, and a lot of it was positive, which was great. He didn't tell me who said what. He just said,
because it doesn't matter.
a senior leader, a peer,
Yeah.
someone who
Different
you
department.
don't work with a lot,
Yeah.
and those were the descriptions he gave, and it was enough, and I didn't know who anyone was. And he said, one person said, sometimes she shows up and she's great in a meeting, and that's where this person would have been exposed to me, and he said, sometimes this person sees you and he's like, what's her problem? And maybe I've been stressed that day, and and I was showing up inconsistently, and I wasn't paying attention to how that affected people around me.
Yeah. They don't know who they're gonna get.
They don't know which Jill they're getting. God help them.
Yeah.
So that was really
She's
eye-opening
a good Jill.
to me. Yeah, is she in a good mood today?
She's for the Jill that's ever coffee.
Yeah, really, really eye-opening. And then, one person made a comment about the way I dress. And, that's hard to hear.
That's hard.
But noted.
Yeah.
Because it had been a while since I had refreshed the old wardrobe.
Yeah.
And there were lots of comments like that.
Yeah.
One person said, she's late a lot getting me materials.
Oh, interesting.
And then another person said, I'm so reliable. So it was it was inconsistencies.
But again, that's that theme.
And I was open to it, and I thought about it, and he said, you're not allowed to second guess any of this, because it doesn't matter what you've really done. It matters what people's perceptions are.
That's like a try. That's
If
a
you want to
great
move
thing.
ahead, if you want to make an impact, if you want to be thought of positively and thought of for opportunities, then it matters what they think, not what you think they should think.
Yeah.
Right? So
Sure.
I refreshed my wardrobe a little bit at a time. Took me a while. I was still not, you know.
That would have been the first thing I did. I would have been like, I gotta go to Nordstrom's.
I hate shopping.
It's for a job.
I hate it. And that was why. I hate shopping. And so I did that, and every time I walked into a meeting room, I thought about it.
Yeah.
And I said, how do I want to show up? Am I being positive? Am I bringing something to this room and not taking something out of it?
Yeah.
And I thought about every bit of feedback, and he said, so what we'll do is in a while, we'll do it again. And he did it again, and I'd say 9 out of 10, maybe it was 11 out of 12, positive. Wow, I've seen a big change.
So interesting.
And the impact that had on my career, not just in that moment for the opportunities that existed that year for me, but beyond that, to learning how to be open to criticism and using it to your advantage. It's not always about how it makes you feel or how you feel at work. It's about, if I want to get my job done and I want to be successful, what does it take? Making people around me want to work with me, figuring out how they work so I can get what I want. For, you know, heads of other departments, thinking about people and the way you make them feel and the way you show up and doing it consistently and deliberately. You know, you could take offense all day long.
I know, so much easier.
But what do you want? Like, what do you want out of these opportunities? Do you want to be like, well, that person's bitchy and that person's judgy and that person's this and that? Well, you know what? Sometimes they hold your future in their hands.
Right.
Not directly, but having a gossip mill go around about Jill Amato not being so easy to work with, I don't need that working against me if I'm trying to go for an opportunity.
Right.
I'm not perfect. I didn't fix everything. I'll always have things I need to work on. I'm human, and I try to be self-aware about that. I try to say sorry when I owe someone an apology. I try to pay attention to all that, but I think one of the most important lessons I've learned was being very, very open and self-aware and open to criticism, feedback, however it's delivered, and caring how you come across other people. I think it's important.
And it's, yeah, that's a major takeaway from that, you know, that time and that period. And you've worked at 3 major banks?
Yeah, so
3 majors.
Yeah.
What's another takeaway that you've gotten from MountainOne? I know that wasn't MountainOne.
So no, that wasn't MountainOne.
I know.
That wasn't MountainOne. I've worked in a private bank and wealth management company, very corporate. I've worked for a credit union, not corporate. In a lot of great ways.
Yep.
Right. And then I work now at a wonderful company. It's a mutual bank, community bank.
Yeah.
MountainOne is unique in that we're in the South Shore and in the Berkshires and not in between. So
funny.
I think the biggest lessons, professional lessons I've learned at MountainOne have been about kind of breaking down barriers between people who work on different sides of the state, who work in different ways, who have different values, and figuring out how to make
That's
a
like
team.
same state, completely different world. The Berkshires is like another country. Well, I think it is. Like, it's so different out there. It's just a different
It's a wonderful,
life.
interesting place
Yeah.
that is very different than
Yeah.
the South Shore or just the eastern coast of Massachusetts. It's a very nostalgic, tight-knit community with different kinds of values than we have here. They have events on weekends all the time for work. We don't do that. They care about whether the person who you're hiring or who's showing up to a meeting is local and has grown up there.
Oh, interesting.
So it's hard to break into that.
Yeah, how do you come into that?
I think just building relationships. But I will say when I started at MountainOne, great company, I think what we've done since I've been there and what I've seen other leaders within our organization do and that I've learned from is really putting employees first. Building relationships and putting an emphasis on the importance of that, breaking down silos, figuring out how to work together, how to support each other. And because we're people, we're all just people trying to do good things. And I think silos, is that a word you guys use a lot in all of your industries, I'm sure? It can be your worst enemy, working in silos. And that's been a really big effort that I think we've done well at in breaking those down.
We only have a few more minutes, so
Can we open it up?
Yeah. We
Get
can open up
questions
to
ready.
questions. Thanks, Jill.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Thank you, Jill.
I want to make one correction just for accuracy. I only became my current title in September. And that's especially important because 3 of the people from the department that I just joined are here, and I want to make sure that they know that I'm being truthful about who I am. So I joined MountainOne in 2018 as the head of marketing, and that was my experience, my background. And since I've been there, and since I've worked with the leadership team and gotten my hands dirty in a lot of different fun things across different business units, breaking down the silos, I started working more closely with the community banking team and that side of the business. And through some transitions that happened last year, the opportunity came about to take on that group as well. And that's when I stepped into that role. And it's been one of the best things. I absolutely love the banking side of the business. It's not my background,
Yeah.
which makes it an everyday learning experience. And I think, another lesson I've learned at MountainOne is the importance to admit when you don't know what you're talking about, and just to let the people on your team be the smart ones and teach you and trust them. And I don't micromanage. I don't like that, but I have a lot of learning to do, and I will have a lot of learning to do in terms of that side of my role, which is kind of exciting and fun to always have something to learn.
That's my favorite thing is like when you're like, oh no, I don't, that's not my side, that's not my business.
Yeah.
I'm a marketing, now I work in this community banking side because I feel that so hard. I have a criminal justice and political science degree, and I started my career as a probation officer in Brockton District Court.
Right. Well, when our bios were read off and I was international finance and econ and you were criminal justice, I thought, well, at least we're using our degrees.
At least we're using our degrees, right?
Yeah.
No. I worked in Brockton in the courthouse.
Yeah.
Right? It's so funny, but it's I think it's proof just shift. Just do whatever you want to do. Like,
Yeah.
don't be pigeonholed by
And when there's an opportunity,
yes,
take it and enjoy it and learn from it. And it's okay to not be the smartest person in the room, because I will tell you every day that I walk into any branch, the universal banker / teller is way smarter than me with anything to do with community banking. And I know that, and they know that. And I bring value in other ways, and I think that's important, and hopefully you guys agree that I bring some value, but a little maybe now and then. I just think it's so important to just be honest about who you are, and then say, please help.
Yeah,
you guys are the smart ones.
Yeah, teach me.
You know this business, and I'm so excited that I get to lead smart people who are really, really good at what they do.
Well done.
Yeah.
Any questions? Q&A? Sorry, we have questions.
I always have a question. Hi.
Hi.
So the women in this room obviously are interested in personal growth, professional growth, but the hashtag lazy girl jobs has been trending for a year. If you haven't seen it. And that I think is a big result of COVID as well. How are you working to motivate the next generation of women leaders? And are you seeing that, or is it
just
up there on the internet?
It's so hard because there's very valid jobs that you can be a lazy girl and be successful. And then there are other jobs where you can't be lazy to be successful. And I think the most important thing in leading the next generation is making sure that they take the time to think about what matters to them. If you want to be a lazy girl, you're not going to excel in a career, you're not going to grow.
Yeah.
Do you want a job where you can show up, do your job, and go home and earn the check and then live your life outside of it? That's okay if that's who you are. It's going to be a very, unfulfilling career, but you maybe are fulfilled at home. No judgment. I could never be happy that way. I don't think the girls that I'm raising will be happy that way. So one of the most interesting conversations I had with my dad the other day, I don't get to see him in person a lot, but we had a good sit down. He reads all these articles, he's retired, he always has a lot of things to tell me about career women. And because he's my dad.
Yeah.
And so he was telling me about how important it is to allow people to work from home. And I love working from home. I love that I can. But I found myself sitting there and defending the working in person side of the argument just because he's my dad, and I had to play the devil's advocate a bit, right? And I said to him, if you want to do more than the bare minimum, you have to show up and be in person and have conversations. You come up with the good stuff when someone pops in to say hi, or you see them in the lunchroom. That's where you have those conversations where you figure out we could be doing something differently. You're never gonna have it if you just follow your everyday routine. And so if you wanna be somebody who's constantly growing and who's open to opportunities and open to being fulfilled in work, you can't have a lazy girl job. So you just have to know what you want, you have to know who you are. And like I said, I think it's okay to be that girl if that's who you are. It's not who I am. And it's not who, the financial breadwinner of a household is gonna be.
Right.
It's not gonna work.
I think there's just such a hard stop on that, lazy girl job. I've never even heard of that. It's so ridiculous to me. I've never. It'll totally fizzle, but
yeah.
I mean, laziness won't get you anywhere, in my experience, in my opinion. So, again, if that's what floats your boat, okay.
Yeah.
But I'll be on the yacht. I'll be.
Yeah. The word career doesn't even.
It doesn't.
Apply
Lazy
to
girl
that.
and career is just two different things.
Two different things.
Yeah. So I think it's a fizzle. It's a fizzle. Yeah.
I think the world is made up of two kinds of people, two kinds of women. The world needs the lazy girls, and the world needs the career women.
Yeah.
Who are
Yeah.
always going to go above and beyond and rise above.
Yeah.
And it goes for men too. It's just not just women. So when we're teaching the younger leaders, you have two choices. You can be status quo, just do what needs to get done to get by, or you can always go above and beyond.
Yeah, in anything there has to be a comparison.
And it can start when
Yeah.
they're 6 years old.
And to your point, I know a lot of lazy guys.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think the world just needs that. We need that.
But there has to be that yin and yang. There has to be. How do you have a comparison without an opposite?
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 But I don't think that lazy girl career is a thing.
It's not for me.
Not for me. I don't like that term.
Well, and I think as women we forget that we need both. We need the moms who are going to be stay-at-home moms and be the car holders and the snack bringers and the whatever, because we can't do what we do without the counterpart. And they need us to break the ceilings and set the examples and show girls what's possible. So we need to work together. We don't need to judge each other.
I
Well,
totally agree with that. And
yeah.
I have this mom's group, there's 7 of us with 7 very different people. Some of them are full stay-at-home moms, some of them work part-time. I own my own business. Some of them have a nanny. So but we never say, well, you're a stay-at-home mom. Or you're so lucky you get to go to work. We never pit each other against each other because it's true. I think their jobs are harder than mine. I think a stay-at-home mom is, I admitted it. That is not my career.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to
It's
say.
not-
Is in and of itself, that's a job you need to show up for.
Yeah,
And
there's no
you just don't
lazy
get
stay-at-home
paid
moms.
for it.
You don't
and
get
there are
those
definitely
days.
people who
You
choose
don't get
that
paid,
as their life, and I think that's fine.
It's admirable, and we always, at first when this mom's group formed 9 years ago with our oldest, we said, well, that's what you do, that's okay. We always felt like we had to say, well, it's okay that you're a stay-at-home mom, or, well, it's okay that you go to work, don't feel bad, somebody else will put the kid on the bus, and that we don't do that anymore, because we all realize, we are all in this to win this, we are all in this together, no matter what we do.
So true.
I just had a quick question about, Mo is obviously nationally award-winning, but can you take me back to the early days of the inspiration and sitting across from Bob and saying picture this goat on a mountain.
Yeah.
What were the early days like, and how was that pitch, and just a little bit about the campaign?
Well, first of all, it was so much fun to be able to work on something like that. One of the things I'm most appreciative of in my role at MountainOne is being able to work for Bob, who he's not in the room, so I'm not sucking up. This is not
I'm recording it.
Yeah. So he said, let's not be boring, right? Which was music to my ears, because all you want to do when you work in marketing is be bold.
Mhm.
And he gave us permission in an arena where I didn't think we'd have it, to not only be bold and have fun and don't take ourselves too seriously, which is a direct quote from him, which I just adore, but to put the work into it to figure out if it was gonna work. He gave us the fund, or approved the funds to say, let's research the market. What do consumers want? What turns heads? And not just with creative stuff, but what makes us different from a competitor? What do people think of when they think of banking? These are not exciting studies to do, but they needed to be done to make us feel confident in our choices and to be able to be bold. And so we did that. We did the research. We did consumer research. We did customer research. We did employee surveys, and we worked with a really, really talented creative agency that we still work with, Hatch the agency. They're out of Boston, and we came up with a few different concepts, but one of them had just a cute little goat just standing there in a little pile of grass. And right away I knew, this one's cute but kind of been done. This one's okay, kind of been done. Banking ads, how unique can they be? And I said, well, it's gotta be we gotta go with the goat, right? I mean,
Was anybody else
if
seeing
we
this?
wanna be bold and we wanna turn heads and we wanna be memorable,
Yeah.
we just need to do something different. And it was so exciting when Bob said, yeah, I can see that. Okay. And so we started moving toward it, and then we started refining it, and we started doing this and that. And we got back at one point a comment that he looked demonic. And this was in his earlier days.
Oh, okay.
He's had a Facebook since then. But remember, this was a long process, right? So Bob and I sat down and talked about it, and we both agreed, so let him be demonic. And we weren't done yet, but people are going to remember it, and they're going to talk about it. So what we had fun with was not obsessing over making him, Mo, be this thing that everybody was going to think was the cutest. No, we just wanted people to remember us. Just remember our name. That's what we wanted. And that's what we did. And we put a goat in our ads. And then we embraced the heck out of it.
Well, that's what the woman said from Hatch at the meeting. She was like, this then took on a life of its own, and she was like, now Mo's at the Eiffel Tower, and now Mo's going in kids' backpacks, and now Mo is in my house. This is my little voice, and I love Mo. Now we've got Mo, and it's like, she was, obviously that's her goal, but she was like, Mo's everywhere, and it's cool.
It took on a life. And what was great was the planned and the unplanned. So the plan is to show up in a marketplace and elevate your brand. And to be memorable, and just to have people talk about you, right? Differently than they talk about other banks. The unplanned was what it did internally, and this is what's really exciting. So the internal piece, and we have a few Mountaineers in the room, everything became really fun. We started using brand speak. We have something called the bleach sheet. And so everything's like a poll on Mo and who Mo is. Mo is, for those who don't know, Mo is the name, and M-O is MountainOne. So Bob came up with that. Brilliant. He's so smart. And then it stuck, and that was how Mo was named. It was Bob. He's a spokesgoat for MountainOne. He helped us tie together the name, because why do we have a bank named after mountains on the South Shore? Right? It makes sense maybe in the Berkshires, but not so much here. So now we have a spokesgoat that ties into the mountains. And we have bleed speak, so we call ourselves Mountaineers, and we're one of the herd, and we have all of these really fun terms for all the things we do. And once Mountaineers started getting hold of that, can you believe how powerful it can be just to have one thing unify a whole company? Talk about silos being broken down. It wasn't necessarily the outcome we expected, it was way more. We hoped that people would be excited that we were doing something fun and different, but what it did was it brought 3 locations in the South Shore and about 5 locations in the Berkshires, and all these different divisions and departments together where they could all rally around one thing. And it was really powerful because it was a fun thing, and it wasn't some vision or mission that not everybody felt connected to necessarily. That can happen. Our mission is this, and everybody's like, well, I kind of just want the job, but whatever. We have this thing that's fun that helps us with themes for everything we do. It's our Zoom backdrop. It's when we have our All Mountaineer event. We are celebrating our 175th anniversary this year. And we have a big All Mountaineer event in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Mo is just going to be everywhere all over that place. We've got a big inflatable Mo.
For the Situate Parade. Mo
Situate
leading
Parade.
right
Mo's
down the center of Situate, the big goat.
Yeah, it's given us something we can rally around.
Yeah.
And that was completely unplanned.
That's cool.
And I saw with my very own eyes the change that it made internally with people having pride in working for us in a more elevated way than they did before. I'm not going to say people weren't proud to work at MountainOne before, but just took us to the next level as an institution, as an employer. And it elevated our brand in our communities, and people talk about it. And now we have these little Mo plushies that have been brought all over the world, and people send us these pictures of Mo at the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. Mo on a
riding
motorcycle.
gondola. Yeah, it's just so, it's so stinking fun.
Mostly don't like it, it's
Yeah.
great.
Brand is just such a powerful thing, and when you get to work with brand, it's just the most fun. But when you get to experience it as an employee, if it's good,
Yeah.
it can impact an entire employee culture. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm proud of the people that worked on it, and I'm proud that we continue to develop it and evolve the campaign and keep it fun and fresh and new.
Yeah, Carrie, you want to know?
Yes, Mountaineer.
Where can you find one of the Mo plushies?
Oh,
I'm interested in
yeah.
getting one, because that's the question that I think people want to.
So Carrie works on the marketing team.
That was a plug.
She's trying to
Visit
set
us.
me up.
You should.
It's
Just
very
actually wants one,
exclusive, but if any of you were to stop into a MountainOne branch, we could give you one.
How
My
about
dogs,
MountainOne
my
towel?
dogs each own one.
My children,
My
my babies
children.
have them.
We have a MountainOne towel.
We have a MountainOne towel from the annual meeting.
Yes, yeah.
We have
Actually, the best.
Horns out, sun's out, horns out is what it says.
Yes. I have a really nice glass that says MountainOne on it.
Yeah.
The drinks just taste so good out of it. I said, where do you get these? Like, MountainOne. You guys have the best way. You really
I
do.
just have a feeling it'll
Great
resonate
song.
with this room a little bit. One of the very first premium items that we created after we did the brand was the little Yeti wine glass that says Mo Wine on it.
I will trade you my plushie for that.
I am with you at home.
All right,
That was a
I'm
really,
coming
that
by.
was a fun one. That was a fun one.
Now that's
Wow,
so
that's
not
awesome.
janky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so human.
Well, because guess what? We're people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the people who come in to bank with us, they're people.
Yeah.
And you can bank anywhere. Banks are banks, and banks have the products that banks have. And what makes people want to come to MountainOne is the relationships they make with people like Megan and Devin, and the people who they see when they walk into a branch. There are Rockland and Situate branch managers. We call them community banking officers. But you know, it's the connections you make, and it's the fun you have, and feeling like you're part of something that's different. And now it's not just our employees that feel part of the Mo brand. It's the clients and the community.
No.
It's where we show up in the community and we hand out the swag, and Mo shows up, and it's just a lot of fun. We're having fun with it, and I think in banking it's really, really, and insurance and investments we also do, and lending and all of that. It's very, very hard to differentiate and just to find your unique way.
Yeah.
So branding allows companies to do that.
Awesome.
It's fun.
All right, we have a few more minutes if we have one last question, and then
So we
can
just
hang.
got one in between the one
Okay,
last.
gotcha.
So after you,
Okay,
it's one
all right,
last one.
2 more.
So
Say it again. Do you have a Mo costume?
You have a Mo costume.
So
a mascot.
I will say there's always something
A
in
Mo
the works.
mascot.
Wink, wink. A Mo mascot is we have it all ready to go, and we're thinking about it. It's just who wants to wear it.
I see you volunteer.
Yeah, 2 or 3 people.
Two or
per
three
day,
people,
'cause there's
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, it's popular.
yeah. So we were
That would
trying
be
to
fun.
do something fun last year, and we ended up getting a huge inflatable Mo instead of doing the costume. But that was just baby steps. Baby steps.
Mo's here to stay. So.
Mo is, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sure there'll be a Mo near you, maybe a real live goat at some point. We don't know.
Oh my
You
God.
just never know what could
I
happen.
need a Mo to eat all the poison ivy out of my garden. That's what I need.
Yeah, yeah.
So one last question. Anyone?
Anybody have a last question?
That could be our last question.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Great job.
Yes.
Thanks, Kim.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank
We'll be here all week, folks. We'll be here all week.
Awesome. Thank you you all again for joining us this morning, for supporting the Will program series. Thank you, Kaitlyn and Jill, both for joining us. It's been really fun to kind of get to know both of you a little bit more this morning. Feel free to grab some coffee, and please grab some food on your way out.
Yes.
And you're welcome to mingle here for a little bit longer. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you.
Courtney.